Hello, everyone. Good morning. It is great to be with you today. Great to be able to share this thought for the day with you. I want to reflect with you today on a passage that I've been reflecting on recently, and it's a passage from Mark chapter 4, and it's a passage that I suspect will be familiar to many of us. It's known in our Bibles as the calming of the storm, or Jesus calms the storm. And the story is this, that Jesus is in Galilee with his disciples. They're out the Lake of Galilee, and as evening comes, Jesus says to his disciples, "Come on, let's go over to the other side." Whilst they're on the boat, a storm rages, and the disciples, many of whom were fishermen, remember, were absolutely terrified. But in the midst of it, Jesus is asleep. And in that moment, the disciples kind of have that, "Jesus, what are you doing?" moment. "Don't you care if we drown?" And Jesus wakes up, stands up, and speaks to the storm and says, "Quiet, be still." And in doing so reveals that he is Lord even over nature, that he has authority and power far beyond that his disciples at that time had even realized. He then follows it up and says to them, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" And I've often looked at that and thought, gosh, do you know what? That's a bit harsh on the old disciples, isn't it? I think that they'd have actually been fully justified in being terrified by this storm. So what on earth is going on there? Why is Jesus rebuking them for their lack of faith? Well, as I've been rereading it, I think that the lack of faith that Jesus condemns is not the lack of faith in the face of the storm, but it's in the lack of faith in the word that he's already spoken to them. Jesus had said to them, "Let's go over to the other side." So when he says to his disciples, "Do you still have no faith?" it was because he had already declared to them that they were going over to the other side. And you see, I think it is that knowledge, understanding, and trust in God's revealed will that was enabled Jesus to be asleep in the midst of the storm. And that should have been a source of strength and hope for the disciples also. So as we've been facing the current storm that we find ourselves in, I've been challenged to remember afresh the words that God has spoken to me. Words of hope, words of comfort, words about the future that God has spoken to me through his written word, the Bible, but also prophetically through other people as well. And I've been challenged about my lack of faith at times. Do I really believe what God has said? And so I wonder today, what promises has God spoken over you that you need to hold on to today? What hope is there from Scripture that you need to hold on to today? So it's interesting that in my Bible readings this morning, in the notes on it, Nicky Gumbel wrote this: "God is the God of promise. Faith involves trusting the promises of God. God makes a promise. Faith believes it. Hope anticipates it. Patience quietly waits for it." So may God bless each one of us with faith and hope as we quietly wait for him to fulfill his word. Amen. Take care, God bless, and have a great day.